would like to start by thanking the author for bringing this important measure forward, as well as the committee for the suggested amendments. I think that, again, fine-tune some of the language and make it very clear what the intention is and is not of this legislation. As we discuss the impacts of criminalizing pregnancy outcomes, it's imperative we recognize the disparate impact on communities of color and the adverse health implications that come with it. These investigations or prosecutions run the risk of harming a person's health, livelihood, and ability to care for their families. And when we police pregnancy outcomes, we isolate people from their communities and their loved ones, which makes getting medical care even more difficult, if not impossible. Medical professionals, including the American Medical Association, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and the American Public Health Association, oppose the criminalization of pregnancy loss. And when people fear arrest and criminalization, they're less likely to seek care and support when they need it most. Furthermore, the risk of civil and criminal charges for pregnancy are higher for people who are already targeted for surveillance or criminalization, including Black, Indigenous, other people of color, immigrants, LGBTQ people, young people, people living in poverty, and people who live at the intersections of these various identities. It's already a traumatic experience for women to have a pregnancy loss. Let us not layer the trauma and punitive weight of the criminal justice system on top of the trauma that women and families are already facing. For those reasons, I respectfully ask for an aye vote and make a motion to move the bill.
Thank you. We do then have a motion. Is there a second? Second, thank you. Other comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to bring something up in regards to this. Obviously, it's a controversial bill, and I can tell you that my office, like I'm sure a lot of yours, have had calls nonstop. And I think it's important as a body here that, I got a lot of calls from people from my district, but I also got a lot of calls from other people's districts. And some of the calls were saying that if I don't live in their district, they don't take, my opinion or my position. And I just want to remind us, because right now we do have a lack of transparency that the people believe in right now, and a lack of trust. So having each voice heard is so important. Not to mention that when I vote for my district, but I'm also voting for every entire Californian, and that their voice is important to be heard, whether they're in my district or not. And I just think that we can do a little bit better job, but I thank everyone because I know this is important to you, that you're hearing their voices. So just want to make sure transparency is out there so that we can build the trust back. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? Ms. you may close.
Well, I want to thank the committee here, thank the consultants, thank the chair, and the comments from Mr. Cholera, and as well as I agree with the sentiments around transparency and ensuring that we hear everyone out. I know that this is a very passionate subject, one that I'm involved in, and obviously have a certain point of view, but I respect other people's points of view as well, of course. I also want to just clarify, and I made these clarifying remarks in my opening, but just want to reiterate them. This is not a bill about infanticide.
Yes, it
I'll
is.
give you a tangible example of something that has transpired. There was a woman who was 8 months pregnant. She was in a very terrible car crash. They had to have an emergency C-section, and unfortunately the baby died, and she was prosecuted for that death. She should not be charged or prosecuted for any kind of homicide or manslaughter in that situation. That was a pregnancy-related outcome. So that's what we're trying to guard against here. And the fact that we have 2 women recently in California who have been persecuted for the loss of a pregnancy. In California, in 2022, it's not okay. And I know this is a hot button topic across this country, but I know where I stand on this, that I believe that women should have access to safe and legal abortions, that women should not be prosecuted for any kind of pregnancy-related outcome, loss of pregnancy, etc. And so with that, again, I will hear anyone who has support or opposition, but I know where I firmly stand on this issue, and I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. That motion is to pass as amended to the Health Committee. Call the roll, please.
Stone?
Aye.
Stone, aye. Cunningham? Davies? Davies, no. Holden? Holden, aye. Cholera? Cholera, aye. Mathis? Mainshine? Reyes? Reyes, aye. Robert Rivas? Robert Rivas, aye. Luce Rivas? Luce Rivas, aye.
That bill is out.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will now move to item number 1, AB
Disgusting.
2029. Ms. Bonta.
morning, Chair and members. I would like to start by accepting the committee's amendments. I also would like
Thank
to
you.
express my appreciation to your committee staff for their help with these amendments. In the past year, multiple states have ramped up their anti-abortion efforts and passed laws targeting our constitutional right to an abortion. Last year alone, 108 abortion restrictions were enacted in 19 states. This includes Texas, where their most recent anti-abortion law encourages private citizens to act as bounty hunters, to seek out and sue those who have provided any form of support to people seeking an abortion, including their doctor, their nurse, a friend who talked to them about whether to get the abortion, even the Uber driver. Within the United States Supreme Court likely to, with the United States Supreme Court likely to